All right, let's get right into it. We're going to tackle a massive question today. Who are we, really? Are we completely free agents, authors of our own story? Or are we born into a history that comes with its own set of rules and obligations? We're going to unpack all of this, drawing from a really thought-provoking lecture by Harvard's Michael Sandel.
So let's kick things off with a real tough one. Your best friend, someone you're incredibly loyal to, commits a crime. Do you protect them, or do you turn them in? Now, there's no easy answer here, but how you lean gets to the absolute heart of a huge philosophical debate we're talking about today. Okay, so first up, let's explore this one really powerful, very modern idea. The idea that we are totally free to choose who we are, and maybe more importantly, what moral ties actually bind us.
This perspective is called the unencumbered self. Fancy term, but the idea is pretty simple. It sees you and me as totally free individuals, unbound by history or tradition unless we choose to be. Think of it this way. You are the sole author of your own obligations. Your identity is something you create, not something you just inherit.
So if you followed this line of thinking, your moral obligations really only fall into two clear buckets. First, you've got your natural duties. These are universal. We owe them to everybody, just because they're human beings. Things like basic respect. Then you have voluntary obligations. These are the specific duties we take on by choice, through promises we make or contracts we sign. And according to this liberal view, that's it. That's the whole list. There's no third category.
But is that really the whole story? Is it that simple? There's a really powerful counterargument that says some of our deepest, most meaningful obligations aren't chosen at all. They're given. They're inherited.
And this brings us to the idea of the narrative self. This view totally flips the script. It says we're basically storytelling animals. We are born into a story that we didn't write, the story of our family, our town, our country. And that story, that narrative, gives our life its specific moral starting point. You can't really understand who you are without first understanding what stories you're a part of. This quote from the philosopher Alasdair MacIntyre just nails it. He's saying, look, we inherit all this stuff from our past. Debts, expectations, obligations, and these things aren't optional extras. They're the very fabric of our lives. For him, trying to just cut yourself off from that past isn't freedom. It's actually damaging who you are in the present.
So here you have it, laid out side by side. It's a fundamental clash. On one side, the self is what you choose. Freedom means being free from unchosen ties. On the other side, your identity is embedded in stories. Freedom is found within those roles and that history. It's a totally different way of seeing the world and our place in it.
Okay, so this brings us to a really crucial point, the communitarian argument for a completely different kind of duty. This is that third category that the liberal view says doesn't exist. I mean, really think about this for a second. Do we have special duties that come with being part of a group? Obligations of loyalty or solidarity that we feel the weight of, even though we never signed a contract or formally agreed to them?
Let's make this real. Imagine you see two kids drowning. One of them is your child, and the other is a stranger's. Do you flip a coin to decide who to save first? I mean, of course not. Almost nobody would say yes. We feel this intense, special responsibility to our own kid. And communitarians would say, see, that right there, that's a perfect example of a powerful moral obligation that exists without your consent.
All right, but this is where the rubber really meets the road. Because what happens when these powerful, unchosen feelings of loyalty smash right into universal moral principles, like honesty or justice?
Let's go back to that question we started with, but with a bit more detail. Your roommate, who's also your best friend, is cheating on a big assignment. Do you report them? It's a perfect, everyday example of this conflict, right? On one hand, you've got this universal principle of academic honesty. On the other, you've got this very specific, very real loyalty you feel to your friend.
And this student's response is such a powerful defensive loyalty. Notice what he's saying. He's not just saying, this is what I'd probably do. He's arguing it's the right thing to do, that his obligation to his friend creates a specific moral claim that actually outweighs the general rule.
Okay, so that was a college dorm room. Now let's blow this up onto the national stage. You've got Billy Bulger, a powerful politician, the president of the University of Massachusetts. His brother, the infamous gangster Whitey Bulger, one of the FBI's most wanted fugitives. This isn't just about an honor code. This is family loyalty versus a civic duty to the entire country. And when he was put on the spot, under oath, Bulger didn't blink. He made his choice crystal clear. He said, yep, I'm loyal to my brother, and because of that loyalty, I have zero obligation to help you catch him. It's family ties put in direct opposition to civic duty.
And now, wow, we escalate this to one of the most pivotal, heart-wrenching dilemmas in all of American history. Robert E. Lee. He's an officer in the Union Army. He personally thinks secession is a bad idea, and then he gets offered command of the entire Union Army. He's forced to choose between loyalty to his nation and loyalty to his home state, Virginia.
And Lee's tragic choice, it just shows you how incredibly powerful these narrative ties can be. His sense of who he was, his identity, it was tied to Virginia, his relatives, his home, his people, and in the end, that outweighed his principles about the Union. For communitarians, you can't even begin to understand this choice without seeing the immense moral weight of that loyalty.
But, and this is a huge but, this brings us to the biggest, most dangerous question for this whole communitarian view. It's an objection that really strikes right at its heart. Because what happens if the story you're born into, the one that gives you all these obligations, what if that story is just plain wrong? What if your community's traditions are deeply, profoundly unjust? Does loyalty mean you have to defend the indefensible? And this quote, just listen to it. It's from a Southerner in the 1950s trying to justify segregation. And it's chilling. Because it shows you the terrifying place this can lead if justice is defined only by the traditions of your own community, with no way to appeal to a higher, universal standard of what's right.
So here's where we land, caught in this deep, unresolved tension. The free, independent self offers us freedom, but it can feel a little thin, maybe ignoring the rich loyalties that give our lives meaning. But the narrative self, the one that honors those loyalties, runs the risk of trapping us in histories that might be deeply unjust. And this isn't just some abstract debate for philosophers. It's at the core of so many arguments we have today, from patriotism to global justice. Which brings us all the way back to the beginning, and back to you. In the end, are you the author of your moral world, or are you a character in a story that began long before you were born?